Rev up your engines!
Trish says, good morning, Scotty. I plan on buying a 2015 Acura TLX. What do you think? Is it a good pick over C-Class Mercedes or a 3 Series BMW? Yes, for that it is. Acuras, as they age, they get to be more expensive to repair than, say, a Toyota by far or a Lexus. But they generally don't start falling apart till they're 10 years or older. Where the Mercedes and BMWs, they're endless money pits from the very beginning. You're much better off buying the Acura if those are the choices that you want to do. Because, I mean, the Mercedes and BMWs, now, you can get used ones a lot cheaper because their resale values are garbage, but they're going to cost you a lot more to fix. The resale value of the Acura is actually higher percentage-wise than the BMW and the Mercedes because it is a better made car in the long run. B says, Scotty, my dad wants to buy a 71 VW bus. Any thoughts? I guess he was a hippie back in the day, right? Now he wants to relive his hippie days, or he wants to pretend he's a hippie. Those are very simple vehicles. They're pretty easy to work on. The problem with those, they're becoming very popular because a lot of the people who are hippies in the 60s are now have money to spend. So they go for an awful lot of money. I've seen them around here in Texas. Some of those things are going for $15,000, $20,000. And to me, that's a lot of money for a thing that can barely get out of its own way. They have very weak power little engines. But if he really wants one, hey, the parts are readily available. They're easy to work on. You know, they're fun vehicles to drive around if he doesn't mind spending the money that he's got to spend. Anything in it's fixable, parts are available, and if he really likes one, hey, he can go right ahead. Super Renio. When I drove my car, it started spitting oil after a transmission fluid change. Okay, I'm assuming whoever did the change put too much fluid in. All automatic transmissions have to be vented because of the way they're designed. So they all have a little vent. Usually the vent has a check valve, so it can't suck water or anything, and it can only spit the fluid out. If some fool put too much fluid in it, automatic transmissions, most of them hold a lot of fluid. Some of them hold 18, 21 quarts of fluid, and they get hot, and as they get hot, the fluid expands. And if they put too much fluid, when it expands, it's going to start spitting the fluid out of that vent hose. So you want to make sure it doesn't have too much fluid. Have it checked. If there's too much fluid, drain it out so it's got the right amount of fluid. Odds are, that's what it is. I see that all the time. People put too much fluid in, and when it heats up, it starts spitting the fluid out. Now, if it's not transmission fluid or something else, then whoever did the work messed up, and they knocked a hose or a line or something off and take it back to them, have them fix the problem they created in the first place. Mageto Elijah says, Scotty, can a bad oxygen sensor give me bad gas mileage? Well, of course it can if it really goes bad. But here's the thing that you have to understand about oxygen sensors. Oxygen sensors measure the residual oxygen that's in your exhaust, and that tells the computer, so the computer will always try to make your car run the perfect stoichiometric ratio, which is like 14.7 parts air to 1 part gasoline. So generally the oxygen sensors are just telling you how your system's working. And if an oxygen sensor shows that your system is running rich, more often it's a problem like a leaking fuel injector. You got a problem that's making the engine have too much gasoline in it, so more comes out the exhaust, and then the oxygen sensor tells you it's running rich. It's not usually the problem itself. Now, oxygen sensors, like anything else, can wear out over time, and let's say you got an old junker that burns a bunch of oil. Well, that oil burning is going to clog up the oxygen sensor and give it false readings, of course. Most of the time, the oxygen sensors are telling you of a different problem in the car, and it's not the sensor themselves. I bought an old 82 F-150 300 straight 6-cylinder for $900. It's cold in North Dakota. Drive it 5 miles on the highway, puttering down the road. Doesn't seem like it's getting power. What's the issue? What are you talking about? 27-year-old truck. You know, there could be a zillion different problems. Start out with the most simple thing would be change the spark plugs, the air filter, the fuel filter, then see what happens. If it still does it, then you'd want to pressure test the fuel pump. A weak fuel pump will do the whole thing. And you only paid, what'd you say, you paid $900? You might, if you got a compression gauge or a friend with one, just do a wet and dry compression test of the engine. I've got videos for that on YouTube, and see if the engine's just flat worn out. Because if it's that old and you find out that the pressure in the cylinders are low, it's just a worn out engine. And that's so easy to test on those, it'd take you 15, 20 minutes. You might start by checking the engine to see, hey, is this thing worn out? Or is the engine good and I can fill it with other stuff? Chad Knoll says, I got an Audi V8. I'm looking at a cheap way to clean intake valves. How can I be concerned? Should I be about destroying my cat? Thank you. Well, Audi, the company itself, it tells people not to use cleaners because they say if you get carbon buildup build up, the carbon can get out. If it breaks off, not only can it ruin the catalytic converter, if you have a turbocharged ones, it can get in and ruin your turbocharger. They advise you not to do it at all. But if you want to do it, I've got a video on how to make your car run better with a little spray cleaner. Watch that. Those cleaners are pretty safe cleaners. I use them all the time on customers' cars, and I've never had any problems with them yet. So you might try that. It costs you like 15 bucks for the cleaner. Just follow the directions to a T to what I show, and you're not going to hurt anything generally.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.